Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to be jumping into more Quake action momentarily. It's going to be VengeurR versus psygib. I'm joined as always by the one and only Flea. And we're kind of hitting that halfway point, really, aren't we?
Yeah, indeed we are. We've already had some spectacular matches, more to come. We'll also be joined by the one and only DJ Wheat later, but still, first of all, we've got to get through a VengeurR versus psygib, and I think that this is going to be an interesting matchup as well.
It always is, because it's very much kind of a clash of styles, I suppose. And someone like VengeurR, who's been hungry and always improving, that kind of player that you're always looking at as one of the Quake champions, great. And highly motivated, I think is safe to say, as we go into this new season of Quake action. And then you've got someone like psygib, who he's always been around, right? And when he's like throwing down, when he's playing at his best, he's able to take out some absolute world-class competition himself. So psygib has historically been the kind of player that you're asking about what kind of form is he in, but I hope as we've begun things here and some players are really starting off strong, I'd love to see psygib be one of those players, because he's definitely got what it takes.
I mean, we've seen mixed performances from psygib, right? At the beginning of the Quake Pro League, there was a lot of speculation, a lot of debate about whether he was, the third best player in the Americas, right after Rafa and the Hang. But then, especially in the last season, I think he finished last, so he definitely fell off a bit. But after the finals, I heard that he was feeling revitalized somewhat. After boot camping, after playing with his new team, he felt like really ready to go for it again. And I just hope that that first matchup that he had against Rafa, where he lost 0-3, didn't demotivate him, because now he's got to go up against another former champion of the Quake Pro League in VengeurR.
Well, both these players are pretty much confirming that they're ready, so we'll briefly go over these pick and bans, and we'll kind of just give everyone a quick introduction so they can jump in and play. But Corrupted Keep, first of all, a rather common map as it always has been. The Battle of Mediums, movement versus sheer damage and utility. Awoken with the Athena versus the Galena, and then Deep Embrace. We get to see that today, one of my favourite maps to watch, but as we have seen many a time, is a map that can be quite savage on some people, no matter what kind of version that we have or patch. But now, as we can see now, the Ison and the Slash to finish things off. I think prediction-wise, Flea, it's hard not to bet on VengeurR here. Like, he's certainly my pick to win this, but I'd love to see it be a 2-1.
I agree, and last time they played, which was in the previous season, it actually was 2-1, so psygib did manage to secure one map win, and I do think that he might be able to do it again today. If I'm looking at the matchups here, pretty standard stuff on Corrupted Keep, Ranger versus Strog, see it all the time. Awoken, a little less common, right? We've seen Athena being played on there before, to great effect rather, and the Galena is also not that uncommon of a pick, but both of them together is not something that we see very often on this map. So that's going to be an interesting one, a curious map to see how that plays out. And then lastly, on Deep Embrace, we're going to see VengeurR play the Slash. I feel like Slash on Deep Embrace in the beginning of this map's life cycle, it was almost unheard of, right? People figured like there's too many stairs, too many places where you can lose that momentum, but as time went on, players improved and they realized that Slash can actually work really well on here. But the same can be said for Ison. Now, looking at these map picks and bans, I think it's overall pretty balanced. I don't think that there's any, like huge mispicks or anything. But I'm going to side with you and think that VengeurR is indeed going to take this. I'm going to say 3-0.
Well, looks like we're only moments away from jumping in, really, and get a good opportunity to see how people are looking going into this new season. We've only just started, really. We've had week 1 and now week 2. Plenty more weeks to go after this one. And I like to see those early seeds being sown, Who's looking strong, who's looking a little bit here or there. I don't think we've really seen any of the latter so far. I think everyone's looking really good so far, and we were able to even see that with the likes of Sirius in our last series that we've literally just had. So the progression continues, and as we're now loading into Corrupted Keep, we'll find out who's going to be on top here in our latest matchup.
Let's find out. Corrupted Keep, first map, no railgun, and that is one of the reasons why Strog works so well here, because the prime tool to take down that peeker, that little robot, is indeed the rail. One rail shot is all it takes to destroy it entirely, but when you don't have a rail, that becomes a whole lot more tricky, right? And so you can use that peeker, fly way up to the top of the map, and just rain down damage from above, and your opponent has to kind of awkwardly use an LG or a machine gun to try and take it down. So that's why Strog is one of the most common picks here. Same goes for the crouch sliding, is also definitely useful, but on the other hand, VengeurR works really well on this map too, as we've seen earlier today. Kilson making it work to perfection with those orbs.
Still, personally, my favourite map of the day so far was that one. It was an absolutely phenomenal show, and if you've just tuned in, I thoroughly recommend you go back and watch Kilson versus Avec. You'll certainly want to check that one out. But the time is now for the now. And a rather even split of damage so far. You know, I take one item, you take one. VengeurR being able to benefit just a little bit better in the armor department, but swiftly being able to deal with that Pika. And this is that scary introduction, right? Especially this time of the map. Who's going to be able to get what? In this case, they trade off the items once more. VengeurR having more health, but without any armor. Just peppering that LG down towards psygib, though. Yeah. As psygib forced to retreat and definitely came off worse in that exchange.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. The moment that I saw that he committed, I don't know about that. You know, that's too close for Heavy Machine Gun to shine, but it's too far for Rockets to be consistent. And VengeurR was the only one with an LG there. So psygib, he needed some pretty lucky, some pretty hefty rockets from that distance, and otherwise he was bound to lose out on that fight. And indeed, VengeurR made the most out of it. And see, this is what I was talking about, Ketchup. No railgun to counter the peeker, right? Yes, the robot goes down, but not before psygib does at least 60 damage with it. So that's value. That adds up over time.
Oh, I'm not leaving you hanging, I promise. I'm just sneezing a bunch. Thank the Lord for a mute button. But now, as we go in with this minute and a half, and VengeurR consistently looking just that extra amount healthier, the aggressive push comes in, and the first blood is awarded. VengeurR not looking too healthy and does have to overstay his welcome to try and take that mega. Is he able to quickly go in? psygib decides to drop down, and that is going to be a little bit of a giveaway. One that psygib clearly happy to take, though, because it does mean that the heavy now goes into his possession. And we can start to try and mount a game plan from here. Some opening damage is quite good. The hyper blasters have definitely been seen doing less. psygib so much armor to work with. He's happy to fight this. He's trying to get a good gauge on where VengeurR's going to retreat to. However, doesn't catch him on the jump pad. I was half expecting him to try and catch him there.
Trying to make something more happen with the Tribolt. That was actually a very good steal by psygib. Pushing out, just spamming rockets and Tribolt, keeping VengeurR at bay, allowing him to pick up both the mega and fall back on the heavy. But VengeurR, the damage right there was huge, and now psygib is actually the one struggling for resources around the map. Mega up in just a few seconds, but he's got no armor to work with. This is suicide if he fully commits to this. Yeah.
Very much a kind of last-ditch effort there from psygib. Caught round the corner. I like that VengeurR was playing it nice and safe, you know, not really over-pushing too hard. But if we know we're going to go down, maybe it's worth just trying to do as much damage as we can. It makes the comeback that much easier, maybe even the chance of a refrag. Either way, whoa, that rocket hurt. VengeurR continuing this lead that's growing more sizable by the minute. Currently working on a 3-0. Needs to get a little bit of ammo, sure, but the control over the map is remaining strong and taking that little bit of extra damage. If anything, it did VengeurR a favor, because it means he can now take that light armor, shut it down, prevent psygib from being able to get his hands on it. And if this fight doesn't go psygib's way and he's forced to retreat down near Mega now, there's not going to be many ways for him to get that back up and running. That Pika doesn't really do much besides information, I suppose. Oh, that does even less! psygib with the push! So good! That shotgun did exactly what he needed and perfectly timed with the mega.
Wow. That was gorgeous. VengeurR's LG gave him the momentum flying backwards through that teleporter that he came shooting out the other end, bridging that gap instantly right up in his face with the shotgun. VengeurR actually kind of sealed his own fate right there.
Flew too close to the sun, mate. Oh, that rocket. Oh, God, that hurt. That did so much. And even with the defensive damage of psygib, not enough to stop the bleeding. VengeurR, you sometimes forget just how disgusting VengeurR's rockets can be. Oh, the plasma.
That's nice. Yeah, that's good. Well over 100 damage with those. Able to maybe make a play on the Mega, but he's still lacking the LG catch-up, and that's been such an important part of VengeurR's supremacy so far. If you take a look at the stats, psygib, 200 damage with LG. VengeurR, nearly 4 times that amount.
And even as psygib is flying around these corners, the LG's kind of pushing him into some weird positions. Even down there, sticking him against the wall almost. VengeurR flying in there, no care in the world. And every time he's securing a frag, it's always around this kind of area, right? Where the denial can just continue. Ooh.
Nice bit of shoddy damage, but not enough. Especially not with Mega spawning right afterwards. I feel like the scoreline could have been a whole lot worse if psygib's aim, his defensive damage, Tri-Bolt rockets weren't still somewhat supporting him.
Oh, that was such a good choice. Saving it for a rainy day, being able to bypass the Pika forces psygib to turn around, and before then the job is already done. And VengeurR secures yet another frag as here comes the Mega in the possession of VengeurR for yet another time. Enough of a delay between the two that psygib can't simply run to the heavy and snap it up. He has to fight for it, and he has to earn it. But from this position, the damage of VengeurR has been so ridiculous that how can you even do such a thing? psygib, he has not had any weaponry for the vast majority of this map. You said it yourself, right? The Tri-Bolt and the rocket. In many cases, it feels like he's having to use it because there's no other option. The fact he's even able to make these two work is wonderful in itself. But it's not going to be enough. In that case, though, it will be. Spoke too soon.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was going to end poorly for psygib, getting pinned in midair with the LG like that, but the rocket came through clutch. Good use of the peeker of the spawn as well. VengeurR had nothing to defend with because he just respawned. Got a 375 damage. This is good. psygib showing some life. Pushing in aggressively. Hounding VengeurR across the map. But still has the discipline to fall back on Mega. Plenty of time left to make a play for Heavy as well. There we go. We should be able to find the frag now. But what? VengeurR trades places with a gorgeous rocket and the orb as well. And now, can he connect? Can he connect? No! VengeurR takes out the peeker just in time.
VengeurR waited until that peeker was in the perfect position to get one shot as well. The patience he had to put forward there. And that one sequence, though, didn't result in any frags, but it has resulted in 30 seconds off the clock just like that, and a sizable lead that VengeurR is going to be happy to sit and defend. Oh, didn't quite get a defensive rocket jump. Didn't quite catch that on stream, of course, but not that it really matters. VengeurR still looking good. Oh, that rocket was fantastic. Picks up the frag quickly too, Flea. That's what he needs.
Forces the spawn, yeah. Oh. Messed up his movement right there. psygib. Clever on the backstab, making sure that VengeurR spawns exactly where he wants him to, but then can't make his way through the doorway without clipping into it. Buying VengeurR the time he needs to escape, and now super shoddy into the orb. So dangerous, so powerful. VengeurR stack advantage. Both players eyeing that armor. Will be psygib picking it up, but he pays a price for it too. With a minute and a half left on the clock, he cannot afford to take this kind of damage.
And VengeurR's just happy to sit and bide his time. For such a huge amount of that map, Flea, the denial of the LG was insane.
Yeah.
It just felt like for a good 5 minutes, psygib wasn't even able to get close to it. All the while, VengeurR's peppering it down, damage upon damage, just layered. And now the defensive play. This is a really sort of cookie cutter. We really know what we're in for here. VengeurR's going to play this highly defensive game. He's going to play these angles. He's going to look for the rocket placement. And even if it doesn't result in a frag, it's going to result in a weird situation that psygib has to recuperate. And we're happy for all those things to happen if we're in VengeurR's shoes, because our lead is so ginormous. Who cares? 30 seconds left to go, and this very well could be a GG surprise. Hello. See you later. Another frag to VengeurR to close out this first map.
Two more comments that I feel like I should make when it comes to psygib. First, I feel like the decision making wasn't always all that. I feel like there were quite a few situations where psygib put himself in a really poor position with nothing really to fight with at that range, right? VengeurR just kept him at bay with the LG. psygib hoping that the rockets connected at a distance, they didn't, right? So I feel like there were a few misplays like that. And I also don't think that he got as much utility out of the peaker as he would have liked, right? There were definitely a few situations where, yes, the robot helped him out significantly, but I feel like more often than not, it almost was to his detriment. And we saw repeatedly psygib using the peaker and VengeurR just blazing right on by, getting up in his face and finishing him off while he's still using that ability. So I'm not sure if that peaker always really helped him out, whereas VengeurR with the orb just got consistent value out of it.
A lot of them kind of came across as last-ditch efforts that kind of delayed the inevitable almost. There were very little instances where you look at the peaker and it's like, this is a game changer. It's more, you're going to go down, you're going to try and get some damage or something similar, but ultimately what does it lead to? Not much, because VengeurR's still going to take that, he's still going to establish himself, keep the control nice and high, and deny. And deny was the key word. As we said before, a lot of that map, psygib was not even able to look at a lightning gun. And if that's the kind of weapon that you can shut down all the while you're doing high damage with it yourself, that's just not a fun situation to have to deal with. But we are going to be jumping in now to our next map, something that's also a little bit fast and aggressive, up close and personal, something both of these players are more than happy to do gameplay-wise. That was a really nice little frag there. I'm surprised he was able to pull that one off. But it just wasn't enough to keep the flow going. VengeurR just looked incredibly strong, as he always does. And now we're swiftly going into our second map.
Awoken, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah. I believe it's Galena and Athena, I think.
Indeed it is, yes. Galena will be played by psygib, and Athena will be ran by VengeurR. They're already gearing up to jump into this in the lobby. And like I was saying, right, we see Galena on this map with relative frequency. Athena, there's been phases where we saw more of her on Awoken, but both of these together, that's a pretty uncommon sight if you ask me.
And I think as well, it forces a drastic change in style when you look at this. Because is there going to be an element of setup available here? Because there's almost two types of Galenas, especially on a map like Awoken, where you can set up some really annoying sections of the map that you can just kind of hold out and control it. And then at the same time, there's other kinds of Galenas that they're playing a more sort of traditional game, and that totem is very much just there for that portable healing as and when you need it. You almost feel like not just the existence of Athena here, but the fact that it's VengeurR using Athena, who is not afraid to play that really absolute aggression. Surely it's going to force the Galena to constantly combat that and brawl and throw down. Right. And you almost feel like this could be another high fragging map just by how the two players are going to have to approach it.
It could very well be. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Very curious how, as you said, how is psygib going to approach the use of those totems? Is he going to try and hide a few around the map, keep him in a safe corner, and then have that overstack if he needs to? Or is he just going to use them to cut off his opponent, get some information, a bit of damage, use it mid-fight to get that extra bit of healing? And then on the other hand, we know that VengeurR is so good on this map. And Athena just adds a lot to it. So let's see what he can make happen with this champion.
Now I'm kind of watching things through psygib's point of view. Stream side, though, it will be VengeurR. We're going to see who's going to draw that first blood in terms of stack and defense possibility. psygib not looking too shabby. Missing a rail, though. And with how VengeurR likes to play that hit-and-run style as Athena, having the rail side spawn feels like a pretty good start for him, all things considered. Speaking of which, the aggressive push has already come through. Now the rails are starting to add up. Stuck near the jump pad. That is not what you want at all. And even then, psygib still not having a rail. In the defensive, the rocket jump through missed the rail in the same time, so he's only just been able to pick one up. He's definitely not out of options. We've only just started this map, but VengeurR, it's clearly, clear as day, Flea, on the hunt.
Absolutely. Now Heavy's about to spawn. Both players looking for that advantage with the railgun. psygib actually switching to the heavy machine gun, making good use of that totem. He needed that to put himself above that railable threshold of 90 HP. Now VengeurR walks away with the Mega. psygib just unable to get unreturned damage. Feels like every one of these rail engages that we see, VengeurR ends up on top. And every time that it seems like psygib might get some breathing room, he eats that final rail to the face and has to go back to stacking up.
I mean, on the subject of rail, it almost feels meaningless to bring attention to it, but I hope it isn't a taste of things to come. 0% on the rail. Fired 4 in total, and all 4 of them have slipped by. However, the defensive point, love to see it. That was what psygib needed right there, Flea.
Rocket to the face, throw down the totem, get some healing, second rocket to finish it off. Beautiful. But indeed, that rail, or rather the lack thereof, is a bit concerning. Of course, Corrupted Keep didn't even have a rail in play. So let's see what psygib can do. Yeah, a little kind of fumbled his weapon choice right there. Wasn't exactly sure what to go for. Bit of confusion going through the teleporter. Mega spawns at just the right time. Can he get the kill? He should be able to, and yes, he cleans it up. psygib, 1 frag in the lead. But the major items aren't spawning anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, conceded a frag before that to VengeurR, an understandable head shake of a, come on, man. And I think able to shake that off rather instantly, as he was now able to secure himself another frag and played incredibly well. I think that's important, right? Those kind of mishaps happen, you just got to be able to shake them off. Accidents happen, they happen to the best of them. Oh, but that rocket from VengeurR was absolutely fantastic! And because he's getting sent here, there, and everywhere, psygib wasn't actually able to get any substantial LG in that fight. Now, a trade was forced. A trade that feels like it could very heavily favor psygib here.
Yeah.
Starting with
mainly
more
because
armor.
of the weapons that he got. He immediately was able to pick up both rockets and LG, even though that's usually on the side that VengeurR could like seal off from him and deny access to.
Wait a minute, where did psygib's health go? Where did his health go? What?
That LG!
We're sitting here talking about how favorable of a spawn it was, which, to be fair, it was. And then I think we blinked and all of his health had gone. And it's just the nature of someone like VengeurR, who, again, hits another lovely little rail to secure. And now a 1 frag lead belongs to VengeurR here. psygib has had a good start, and he has been giving VengeurR a run for his money. But the night is still young. There's still a chance for VengeurR to push this one forward. psygib needs to be able to match this pace, keep up with it.
Mega is up. Oh, VengeurR out of nowhere!
Yeah, I got jump scared by that. I'm gonna admit.
Oh yeah.
I was not looking at that through VengeurR's point of view.
psygib definitely not ready for that burst of aggression from above. Probably wondering, should I make a play on the Mega? I know it's there, but where is VengeurR?
And then
Peekaboo,
boom.
he says.
Hello.
Yeah. Now VengeurR with a good stack advantage. Mega up in 5 seconds. Yep, that rail. That's back to the drawing board. psygib can't contest for that major anymore. I like how he's approaching this though. psygib just kind of crouch walked around the edge of the map. Oh, I'm still on psygib's point of view, and he just placed down the first sneaky totem, Ketchup. Hidden almost off the edge of the map towards rail.
And it's one of the first times that he was actually able to do it safely. His hand wasn't forced, I suppose. Where a fight breaks out and you have to do it to keep yourself going, whether it's burst damage, whether it's healing yourself up. But as it has taken so long for those setup totems to come into play, I wonder if VengeurR's even going to be looking for it. Are we going to go out of our way to go that far side, or are we just going to look to keep this iron hold on the rest of the map, as VengeurR has been quite rightly sitting in this center point, listening out for all information he can get his hands on, and just try and take damage where he can get it. As long as he has essentially psygib on the end of a lead here, it's going to be so scary for psygib to bring anything back. The next item's in play. In this case, it's going to be the heavy. VengeurR surely understands. He's either hiding somewhere or he's walking, so now I gotta look for him.
Good play from VengeurR. The moment he lands that rail, he knows that he can make a move.
Whoa!
That's the mobility. Athena, if you play her well, I think she is bar none the most mobile champion in the game when she has her grapple hooks available. Good LG from VengeurR. psygib nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Will drop another frag, and now the momentum is firmly in favor of the Maestro player. psygib has got to stop the bleeding somehow. But does he have the time?
Such an easier said than done situation, isn't it? Lovely little grapple hook angle there. All these little angles that can just help you out so much. The specialists know. You can find some incredible Athena grapple compilations on the internet these days. It's incredible stuff. Yeah, and VengeurR's not going out of his way to look for that totem, so I do wonder if he even cares.
Probably doesn't, but I think that marks the third totem up on the map. Doesn't matter though.
Ow!
VengeurR absolutely just pushes on through. psygib probably feeling confident knowing that he had that totem up. But ultimately, it didn't matter. God, so fast.
And there's no way Galena's keeping
hooking
up with
into
that.
the telly. Yeah. And time is just running out for psygib. Here he goes, he pushes in aggressively. Mega not up for a while. Good defensive rockets from VengeurR, and he just loops around. Takes away the heavy. Ooh. And that rail. psygib unable to heal up in time. And that Mega. This is just... Things are going from bad to worse for the American.
Forced into a position where you don't have time, and the only way you would even in theory bring it back is to be hyper aggressive, because you can't play with your food anymore, which in turn just allows a easier win for your opponent. It's such a horrible... Oh, I'll tell you what wasn't horrible was that direct, but psygib's in return was even better. I was going to say something about being forced in a situation where you're predictable and stuff, but you know what? Doesn't matter. We can see it happening right in front of us.
Heavy machine gun comes out. VengeurR had the stack advantage. Used the LG first. And I think that this is going to mark... Oh, nice little rail from VengeurR. But this will mark the GG. Map 2. It's also going to go in favor of the Italian. And that means that the overall series win will be headed towards VengeurR.
But when we look at Pro League, victory's not enough for almost any player here. It has to be total annihilation. As many 3-0s as people can take, the better. And we've seen players in the past that they get wins, but they're always 2-1s, and that frustrates them. We've had players in the past that are like, man, no, I want to start winning these really dominant matches. I want to get those extra points. And that's the kind of player that VengeurR will certainly be. Anything other than a 3-0 for VengeurR will be seen as a disappointment for him. And that's the kind of, you look at players of this caliber, you have to strive for that perfection. It's how you can always push yourself to become the best you can be. And with 30 seconds left to go now, VengeurR can just keep this going nice and strong. psygib kind of having to sit now and think about, right, how can we approach this third and final map? Because I would really prefer to get a single map here, at the very least.
Let's hope you can. psygib typing lol easy in chat after that suicide from VengeurR. Yeah, sends him flying
one
up,
way to
finishes
answer
it
back,
off.
Flea.
Absolutely. GGs are called. VengeurR is going to be able to take the win. Clearly so, and convincingly. I think in a fashion that most of us were expecting, right? Just one map left now, and as you said it yourself, Ketchup, will this be the one that psygib secures the win on, right? You never want to go out with a 3-0. All of these games are money matches, right? So yeah, okay, the win has gone in VengeurR's favor, but there's still some hard cash to be earned, and that's no doubt going to motivate psygib to still give it his all on map 3.
It has to. If there's no other motivations, then a financial incentive will certainly help things. But going up against VengeurR, who was just... I certainly don't want to come across as disrespectful here, but it has just sort of given the impressions for VengeurR that this is just VengeurR doing his thing. The display that we've seen of just comfortable movement, smart and quick calculated decision making, and just overwhelming pressure when necessary. Playing more defensive and more slow when necessary. We have those 3 minutes, sometimes even longer, and the lead is so sizable. Okay, I'm going to cycle the map, keep these items, but I don't need to really push in and try and secure a crazy level of frags. That's just what VengeurR has always done. That was really the highlight of the map there, though, was that complete spring attack. But it just feels like VengeurR has not been tested today, and there's one map left to go that might change things, but it's going to be Deep Embrace. And if VengeurR has been dominant on 2 maps, we're going into Deep Embrace, which VengeurR has always been really good at. It's a little bit nerve-wracking if you are in psygib's position.
Absolutely. He's also going to be outmaneuvered massively. Ison is a champion that he's chosen for this matchup, and while Ison has a lot of utility, speed is not one of them. So he will be using that turret, one, to get information, right? It'll tell you if an enemy is running by, and also to get an extra source of damage, to throw your opponent off, to have that other element on the map that they have to divide their attention between you and that turret that's shooting them as well. So Ison is going to be important for psygib. He's going to want to make the most out of that turret. Not quite sure how he will approach it. Is he going to use it to get information? Is he going to have it set up tactically? Is he going to be dropping it in the middle of fights? If that Galena play on the previous map was anything to go by, I feel like he was very often just dropping it in the middle of the fight. So we might see that this time again. But yeah, also interesting to see how VengeurR is going to be using Slash, right? I mentioned it at the beginning. Slash in the first live stages of this map were just really not played all that much because it's a very, very tricky map to use Slash well on. But VengeurR, of course, is extremely skilled with the crouch sliding champions as well. So he is going to be able to make the most out of it, but still, there's a lot of little ledges, a lot of places to get stuck on. And one bad move, one little fumble on the movement, you're stuck, you're caught out. The turret is going to shred you, and you don't have a lot of stack to work with as a squishy as well. So let's see how this pans out. I do think that psygib has a shot, but overall I'm still going to favor VengeurR.
It's one of those situations, Flea, where the shot exists, but at the same time, it's going to be very easy for things to get out of hand incredibly quickly. And that's just the nature of Slash on a one-sided map. Someone like VengeurR, who just has that eye for it, that mind for it, the sense of it, just when to go in and just completely punish anything and everything. You have a champion like Slash in the back end of that on a map like this. It's a very scary combination to have. And VengeurR, really one of the original players that was thoroughly in experimentation for this map. Like when Deep Embrace was a new map, VengeurR was the one that was picking it more. He was the one that was just looking for different jumps, different angles, different this, different that. This is a bit of a playground for him, and you've already got now 2 maps. You've now got the series win. Might allow for an element of someone to play a bit more loose, a bit more free-flowing. The combination of all those things could lead to VengeurR having a really good time. However, that 100 damage rocket immediately is not going to lead to a good time.
Good start for psygib.
Very much so.
What he's missing now is the LG. He cannot yet take those mid-range fights. VengeurR is going to shred him if he gets caught off guard at that range. So he's trying to find a way to maybe make a move on the other side of the map. Pick up heavy. Actually delaying it intentionally.
Good stuff.
Putting a bit of a split, yeah, between the items. But those splits catch up, they're dangerous, especially when you're up against such a fast champion, right? Because VengeurR is going to have a lot easier of a time to get from one to the other than Ison is.
And VengeurR just knew he was going to be standing up there as well. That's the element of a player who is just so well versed in this kind of situation. I mean, look, it's a very common angle, right? And you don't have a lot of mobility, so maybe there's more places for you to escape up there or whatever. Either way, I'm holding that angle and I'm spraying it around the corner. Go figure, VengeurR was bang on the money. So that's a rather frightening introduction to the map because it shows that we've only just begun and VengeurR is comfortable.
psygib saved by the rail right there. VengeurR had his number, but then he lands 2 wonderful defensive rails, keeping him alive. I also like the creativity there. He could have just stayed on heavy and waited for it, but instead he looped around, hoping to get some more damage near Mega. Wasn't able to, but still. I like the initiative that we're seeing from psygib. Oh, that's nice. Decent amount of plasma.
Out of tri-bolt ammo, though, thankfully. Sitting right on top of some, so not the end of the world there for psygib. But he's doing what he has to do, isn't he, Free? He's having to play slow and defensive because you're certainly not going to outmaneuver your opponent here. Still without the LG, though. That's just been a constant plague. He's had to stay on this side of the map, and this is the range he does not want to be fighting at, and VengeurR knows it. VengeurR trying to push ahead, but gets stuck! Stuck on the wall, just as you said, Flea. One mishap of movement can be a death sentence for Slash, and that was one of them.
For psygib's sake, I really hope that he can convert into an LG soon. Because it's hurting him. It's hurting him bad. He's just kind of banking on those rockets landing, sometimes at ranges where they're not optimal.
Wow!
Nice. Good shot from VengeurR. Flyby rail. Coming from down below.
Kind of a 180 too.
Still not going for the LG. Could have easily picked it up right there, but wanted damage. Don't know about that one, because now VengeurR has heavy and mega under his belt, and psygib still doesn't have the lightning gun.
I mean, honestly, I think psygib at least did the right thing just then by not going for it, because by the time, when that ship had sailed, it would have been so easy to just go right off that teleporter, have nothing but a rail, and then you go straight into VengeurR head first. So at least psygib decided not to do it there, so it's going to remain to be a 1-1 game so far. But how long will it be is the question. Gets a lot of damage, but not enough on that shotgun now. VengeurR takes a frag, 2-1. And there is, as you said earlier on, delay between those items, one that's going to be so much easier for VengeurR. How is Ison going to cycle and pick up 2 items quickly? Blow himself up? I don't know.
Rocket jump around the map. psygib's been getting quite a few rocket jumps. Aggressive push. VengeurR once again surviving.
He almost got rocketed into the plasma trail. That would have been a ridiculous combo.
psygib keeps getting close to getting the frag, but he's unable to close it out. VengeurR still surviving with usually around 25 to 50 points of health left. But now, Ketchup, for the first time in this map, 4 minutes in, psygib has an LG. What can he do with it?
An opportunity for some damage there, but caught with the tri-bolt off that missed rail. A little bit of LG damage, but VengeurR just able to get around, makes a good call out. That tri-bolt kept him alive for a split second, but not enough to survive the onslaught as another frag goes down there for VengeurR. And the push off spawn. Oh, he's gonna know you've only got a rail. He's not gonna fear you at all, and he's just gonna push.
Bit of a wasted opportunity, I feel like. psygib finally gets the LG, and what does he do with it? Try to push through a choke point that VengeurR is just spamming with rockets. So the one time he does have the LG, he uses it in a fight where it just wasn't useful to him at all. Now, of course, he didn't have much to work with, so I can understand why, but... Oh, there we go. VengeurR missing an important shot. Can he find it? There we go. Good. Good play from psygib. The moment that VengeurR missed that one rail, he knew that he could go up the bounce pad without being punished, get right up into his opponent's face. Heavy 1 second out, VengeurR nowhere near to punish.
psygib was looking for a little bit of damage there, but that rail was extremely hopeful. A hard shot that was certainly worth taking, but you have to put your thinking cap on now. 4 minutes left to go, just over. A VengeurR that is once again in the lead. Center point turret. I like that. Oh, I don't like that though. That wasn't what he wanted. Good rail, and that is going to hurt VengeurR quite a lot. Force him to retreat, so we're going to trade one item for another. In this case, psygib having the vast majority. And actually, no, VengeurR pushing forward. That's a risky play. Trying to get some damage and then pushing towards the Mega instead. Could have actually turned into a death there. Oh, on that rail. Oh, the ring out as well. Too fast.
That is the best possible outcome that psygib could have hoped for. Landing a beautiful rail and then getting the ring out as well just before Mega spawns.
Production, I hope we can get that in the replay. I want to see that from VengeurR's point of view.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Now psygib on the hunt. VengeurR so quick on the recovery though, but that's not a good rail. psygib finally starting to land some of those shots. Currently sitting at just 30% railgun accuracy. But then again, he is going for a lot of these spammy shots as well.
Quite a few of those why not shots, perhaps.
That was very early from VengeurR. There were 8 seconds left before Heavy was going to spawn. And he was still just, you know, dancing on the item, leaving down the plasma trail. Something you'd expect with, you know, 2-3 seconds left. But 7, that's, I think that's stretching it. Oh, psygib! Gorgeous.
I tell you what, Flea, it's very much it's time to come online. That's exactly what psygib's doing. There's no other opportunities now. You got to bring that A game, or you're going to lose another map here. psygib keeping things nice and smooth. Not able to get enough damage. Does get the extra little piece of LG that he needs. Now only 1 frag left to go. Unfortunately, that rocket jump doesn't quite get it. Losing a little bit of time there, which unfortunately means that VengeurR was able to get in position for the LG. That is a tragic missed little rocket jump. Yeah. Otherwise, VengeurR would not have had the time to get there.
The rocket went right in between the floorboards.
Good shot if you think about it.
Was on the other side, yeah.
Is it a good shot or a bad shot? I can't tell.
In this situation, it most definitely was a bad one. At least for psygib it was. Now Heavy's about to spawn. psygib needs to stay alive for just another second.
Oh, no!
Gets it. That's a shame. That's a shame. That might be the final nail in the coffin. 5 seconds before Mega. psygib is in position. If he can walk away with this item, do a bit of damage, he might make something happen. That's good. That's good. Mega's still up. Neither player committing to it. VengeurR knows that he can just sit up there looking pretty.
But it's the lack of weaponry that's going to be unfortunate and a half for psygib. The rocket in play.
Nice.
VengeurR caught with the rocket out himself. Actually, both players weak, but it's VengeurR, and that is not a fight that you wanted to lose. Only 3 frags behind, but with the 1 minute warning, and with how close both of those encounters were, both could have gone either way. Neither went to psygib. It's tragic, but I believe
love the rocket jump
very well.
Yeah, I loved the rocket jump that he was going for. So clean. Timing was on point. The angle was superb. But then just the execution, finishing it up, just wasn't there. And I think that this is going to seal the deal. VengeurR isn't even going to stick around for the Heavy. He knows that he can just run circles around his opponent now.
Yeah, one of those classic moments where mobility matters. There's nothing. Unless Iceland gets like some god tier read, or even then, I don't even think the opportunity for a read presents itself when you're in this situation. VengeurR's just going to listen out, run away. 10 seconds left to go. And that will be a GG's right there, Flea. A map that psygib was very, very close to taking himself. Unfortunately not. Yes. It is going to go to VengeurR, securing that 3-0. Something that VengeurR's going to be happy with. As we say, a lot of these players, they do strive for that perfect record. Every map makes all the difference when you go months and months down the line and we start talking about finals. We're nowhere near that at this point, but every map counts. And VengeurR playing very much like every map counts. You love to see it.
Where was that psygib that we saw in those final 2-3 minutes for the rest of the series? That's what I want to know. He was landing all of his shots. His movement was on point. His aim was good. His decision making. He called VengeurR out multiple times. If he could have maintained that level of play, not just for those few minutes that we saw right there, this could have been a different series.
It's one of those things where the glimmer of hope is refreshing, but also disappointing. It's disappointing in the moment to think that maybe we could have had a slightly more competitive series, perhaps. But at the same time, if you close out a series against one of the world's absolute best, and in your final moments, there were these moments of greatness, work on that. You know, that's what a player can work off. And psygib does his homework just as much, if not more, than many other people. And he's always been that kind of player that can just progress, can grind through it. And if you can have those absolute couple of minutes where you're bringing it to VengeurR the way that he was, That's a starting point, surely. And I'd love
Yeah.
to see it, because it was a great moment near the end of the map.
Here we go. This is the rail. You were talking about it.
Oh, there it was.
Yeah, just
Oh, dear.
tiny little nudge to the right. The momentum got redirected, and Wenger just kind of did a little hop and a skip right in between the item and the icy waters down below.
And that was one of those fights, psygib with the brave rocket jump. And actually looking at that through VengeurR's point of view, the defensive rocket placement in response to it was one of the best things about that sequence, I think. Opening it up with the 100. VengeurR, I have no idea how he finds damage the way he does with some of those rockets, but the young lad finds a way. And just like that, another one of our series is going to be done and dusted for the day. Now we have our next matchup after a short break. It's going to be Chain going up against Razy. So a little bit more of that Maestro action. And actually, the triple threat of Maestro happens today, because after that will be our first featured matchup of Xenaku versus Sib. Finally, Rafa versus Toxic. So our next matchup is the final one before we enter featured match territory. But, as always, if you've watched this show once or twice, we're going to go for a quick break, get the players in, set everything up. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back in a few minutes for more Quake.